Okay, well, I just did this. I spent 10 minutes recording this, and then I realized I hadn't clicked the actual start record button, so I'm doing this again. It's always very weird to repeat yourself when you're talking to yourself, but we are going to go through the MLB Dashboard, which is free for everybody, and go through it. It's a huge Tableau tool with all the baseball data, Savant, StatCast data you can ever imagine almost, but it's kind of not very self-explanatory. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to do like 10-minute increments. I'm going to go till 2:45. Hey Siri, start a timer for 11 minutes. And we're going to go through these tab by tab until we're done. We're going to do this all February and March. So you know how to use this thing, because it is to not to toot my own horn or yank my own shame, but it's quite a good tool. It gives you everything, almost everything from the StatCast Savant pages, but all in one place. So here we go. First tab is hitters. Here's all the tabs we have. I mean, I've added onto this over the last 2 years or something, and I didn't document any of it, but I'm trying to get better at that, and I want to give my subscribers especially a little bit of insight into how to use this. So what you see here is hitter data. It's all pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to save you the small details of what stats are, because if you're watching this, you probably know. But one thing that's not so clear here is what you do with the stuff on the top. Let's take an example of the Colorado Rockies. I want to know how they do on the road against how they do at home. To figure that out, there's no just home road button, but what you can do here is click park, select the same team. This gives you their home numbers. To show road numbers, you want to exclude the home park. So you click this down arrow and you exclude Colorado. That'll cross it out. So it kind of makes it clear that it's showing everything but games in Colorado, and you can see how the numbers change. So they hit 225 on the road. Clearing these filters, make sure you do that, because if you leave that on or look for other things and you forget you left that on, you're going to be looking at a subset of data that you probably don't mean to. So always clear that. So now we're back to square one with just the Rockies. Let's see how certain guys did with the shift on. You can see this updates for only plate appearances that ended while an infield shift was on. You can see the numbers there. Clear it. If you want to see, let's see how they did against left-handed pitching. P-hand means pitcher hand. Left, obviously L is left-handed. And you can see that Tovar in 11 plate appearances. But let's say we don't care about 11 plate appearances. Let's filter this to 50 plate appearances against lefties. It gets rid of Tovar. And it shows Randall Grichuk led the way with a 593 slugging against lefties. Let's see how he did just at home. So we're mixing things up here. He comes down to a 376 slugging against lefties at home, but the plate appearances are getting pretty short here. So when you're putting all these filters on, actually this is actually, see, it scratched out because I didn't go back to include, so we needed to include that. And you can see that Grichuk hit 805, slugged 805 against lefties at home. And you can just keep adding on filters at your own heart's desire. Let's clear all the filters. This is also good for custom queries. So I don't know, let's say I'm interested in which hitters made the most and hardest contact. This is one I like to run. Let's see, 350 plate appearances here. How many hitters with double-digit barrel rates? I put 10% as the lower bound there. And I want to see hitters that did not strike out, 20% strikeout rate or less. You see how these change and the numbers change to make sure that you have it right. And here's your results. So only a dozen or so hitters did that. A strikeout rate under 20% and a barrel rate over 10%. You can also see how certain hitters did on certain batted ball types. So set this to 100. Select this to BB type, means batted ball type. This will show you who had the highest batting average on ground balls. Leody Taveras did. These will all be speedier hitters and some luck involved here as well. And then that applies to the other batted ball types as well. You can use batter hand here if you're interested in switch hitters. Here's how Jose Ramirez did overall. Here's how he did as a righty. Here's how he did as a lefty. Okay, so that's all. Hopefully that makes things a little bit easier for you. The pitching tab, I don't even think we really need to look at this because it's kind of all the same, a lot of the same drop downs. One thing to note is anytime you see a 1 and a 0, 1 means yes, 0 means no. So this will show you, if you want to show like Aaron Nola, his swinging strike rate overall was 13.8%, but if we just look at just pitches in the zone, that drops down to 12%, and then out of the zone comes up to 16%. So this will just filter it to only the pitches that either were in the strike zone or outside of the strike zone. Swing is the same way. This will show you his swinging strike rate on only pitches that were swung at. So that's a 28% whiff rate. And if you clear that, it goes back to the swinging strike rate. Against righties, you can do that here. Righties, select the batter hand. And I think that's pretty much good. But you can use these to query things as well and get custom reports. Pitch arsenals. This will break down each pitcher by pitch type. Select Hunter Green, you can see the number on his four-seamer, and the league averages are here too, so you can see how this 14.6% swinging strike rate compares to the league average four-seam fastball, and for him it compares pretty favorably. You can see how did he attack when he was, say, behind in the count, say 3-ball counts. 3-ball counts, he goes to 68% four-seamer if we get rid of the 2 and 3 strike counts. Then he throws the four-seamer 82% of the time. So at a 3-0 or 3-1 count, that's what he's doing. You can see certain things like that. You can select the count you want. Same stuff, stats on swings, on contact, in certain parks, home or away, just like we already looked at. And all these have date ranges too. So if you want to see how he changed throughout the year, you can select a certain date range. Here's kind of the same thing with broken down by batter hand right in front of you, so you don't have to click around and do compare. You can kind of just see it right there. So let's see how he, against righties, he threw the four-seamer 48% of the time, and that usage comes out to 59 against lefties, and some other stats there as well. Team offense, more of the same. This just groups by team instead of by hitter. Don't think we need to spend any time on that. Here's more details about that. You can hover over each category to see what it's actually telling you. Got some of them get cut off. So this groups by team rather than players. Anytime you see this type, X means balls in play, S means a strike, and B means a ball. So if you select strike here, you're just going to see 100% strikeout rate, because any plate appearance that ends in a strike is going to be a strikeout, except for some wonky things here, 99.98 and stuff like that, but round up to 100%. Won't get into the technical side of all that. Here's launch speed angle. This comes up from time to time over the dashboard, and these are just the 6 categories that Baseball Savant, that StatCast classifies batted balls into, 6 being barrels, 5 being the next best, and here we're going to move on because there's a better details on that on the park factors tab. I broke it down here so you can see this. If you don't understand this, you can kind of just look into StatCast and learn a little bit more about that, or you can see the BIP plot tab for visuals on this. So maybe we'll just go there while we're here, because this is kind of an important thing to understand. It's a really cool system. Every batted ball that goes into play will be classified into one of 6 categories by the StatCast algorithm. And let's show you how those break down. So here, this plots the launch angle and launch speed of every single batted ball all season. So there's obviously like a million of them, but let's click the BIP class here. These are the barrels. So you can see they're all above 97 miles an hour, and they're between this angle range, and the angle range moves dynamically as you get harder hit ball. So the angle range expands as you hit the ball harder. 5 is just kind of right outside of this. You can see the barrels are right here. These are just kind of on the fringe of barrels. They're almost barrels, but not. 4s are kind of the same thing, just like another step back. Those are basically the line drives over the infielders' heads, mostly high batting average on those, but they don't really go for extra base hits very often because they don't get past any outfielders typically, unless they find a gap. 3 is the pop-ups. Basically, you can see everything's above 20 degrees. 2 are the ground balls. These are all below 20 degrees, unless they're at a very certain speed, I guess. And then 1 is just like the absolute weakest hit balls. They're at all angle ranges, but they're all hit below 60 miles an hour. So basically anything under 60 miles an hour goes to that. Okay, so that's a quick breakdown of that. And it is 243. Let's do a couple more. Play discipline. This is just more hitter stats, but it's more of the how often do they swing, how often do they swing in the zone, how often do they chase. kind of zone contact rate. Same thing here. You can adjust for pitcher handedness. You can adjust for pitches in the zone. Oh, that won't actually make any sense because I kind of all breaks that down already. So I should just get rid of that. But again, date range picker there, all pretty self-explanatory. Let's look at the park factors. This is a newer one. And what this does is gives you a pretty good idea of how the parks play. The problem with some of that is that like Yankee Stadium looks like a good hitter's park because it is, but also because Aaron Judge hits there. So that is going to boost up the numbers, right? Because he's hitting a ton of barrels and stuff. So what you can do here is do things like this. You can just look at very like specific subsegments of batted balls. So let's say between 90 and 95 miles an hour, and then like between 10 and 20 degrees. So how often do these go for extra base hits? So the Dodgers, I don't know if this isn't like a specific example I thought out, but if you're just curious, like how do high pop-ups, what parks are best for hitting high pop-ups? You can look at the highest launch angles, above 40 degrees and see batting averages on those, and see San Francisco. That makes a little bit of sense because they have all that weird outfield, a lot of space out there. Colorado, again, big outfield, stuff like that. So you can get creative with that. You can also just look at fly balls, ground balls, line drives, etc. So you do need to have something in mind when you're coming here to find the data, but it gives you a lot about the parks, and it's a little bit better than just looking at like that park factors table. If I just gave you one number for everything, that's a little bit limited. All right, so that's the beginning of it. I think we'll call it there. Don't want to spend 20 minutes here. So those are the first few tabs, and we'll do a few more of these as we go on. There's a timer. So thanks for watching.